So how is it that plants provide such transformational healing? And really, it's about the fact that humans and the plant world have been in deep relationship for thousands of years. And both from a point of sustenance to a point of wellness and healing. So, after those experiences in urban farming and permaculture, and now in herbalism and in education, I'm so excited to bring all of my worlds together and share this course with you. So what we're going to learn this semester is really the art, I guess you can call it, of horticulture therapy, which has many different manifestations, but at its core is using a garden or natural setting to facilitate and reach some goals for a particular client. And using different techniques and hands-on activities, we can achieve certain healing and wellness for our clients in conjunction with other professionals in the mental health realm, in therapy, in physical care, etc. So this class, I will incorporate some technique. Some of you may not have been in a garden that much, and so we will cover some basics on growing plants. But because this isn't a horticulture propagation class, I won't spend too much time on that. But just for a well-rounded approach, I will provide some videos on that. And from there, we're going to spend most of the semester learning about different ways in which we can provide, or actually we can facilitate these activities in the garden environment. So for you, I feel like this class is pretty unique and a very exciting opportunity to take in this information and then possibly apply it in real time if you have access to a garden, a community garden, your own garden, or save it for, when you do have that opportunity to be in a garden space. But the cool thing here is that a lot of what I'll be talking about is applicable in many different environments, in the sense of what kind of garden you're in. A school garden, a garden at a prison, a garden at a church, a community garden. Gardens are a beautiful platform for us to reach people and to build community and to really create positive change. The most powerful part of all of this is that anytime you're in a garden, you're receiving healing in some capacity. And anytime you're working with someone else in a garden, they're also receiving healing. And most often, you don't even have to think about it. It's just naturally happening. The physical act of being in a garden amongst plants is profound. It's up there with meditation, with yoga, with breath work, and with other therapies for mental health. So the skills and some of the techniques and activities may seem a little like obvious or simple, I guess you could say. But what we need to remember is that the person receiving this healing opportunity may not see it as such. If you're a gardener and you've spent a lot of time growing your own food, if you look at seeds, you may not stop to think every time at how profound it is that this tiny little seed gives us nourishment. But there's ways in which you can use a seed to facilitate a conversation around how are we transforming in our own lives? What seeds do we need to plant within ourselves to take our wellness, our consciousness, our well-being to the next level? Not to mention the physical act of holding seeds can elicit and bring on calm, a methodical breath, and just a state of slowed activity, slowed heart rate. Physically planting seeds can be very powerful in terms of a therapeutic experience. So what I'm getting at is just keep your mind open to the things that we discuss in this class. Just because something may not seem very useful to you, or like it's a good modality or a good technique, is not the case for someone else. We all respond to nature in different ways. What I see looking at a landscape could be different from what you see looking at a landscape. What you may enjoy in the garden is probably different than what I enjoy in the garden. And so, as a horticulture therapist, it's our job to be understanding first that everyone has different ways and they're receptive to the environment. And from there, if you choose to go into a practice in which you're working with clients, there are a few things that you really need to keep in mind. The first is to have a deep understanding of what kind of either physical limitation or what kind of scenario your client is currently addressing. Is it depression? Is it anxiety? Is it cognitive motor function? Not that you need to be a psychologist or a doctor to really understand all of these things, but it's your responsibility to have a broad knowing of what those different scenarios mean for your client. If someone has limited mobility physically, when you're designing your activity in the garden, it's important for you to keep that in mind. If someone is using assistance to move around, either through a wheelchair or a cane, for example, and possibly an elderly person, or if someone has a bad back, we need to provide a safe and comfortable place for them to be in the garden to fully enjoy the activity or the session that we have planned for them. Just like if someone else is struggling with anxiety in large groups, it would not be ideal to have that person probably with other clients in the garden if they're having a hard time with that kind of intimate space. So that would be an option for you to work one-on-one with your client. And then, of course, to become familiar with any other practitioner that your client is working with. Do they have a psychologist? Do they have a general physician who's helping them? Do they have a therapist? These are people that will help you unlock the deeper understanding of what your client is, what the needs of your client are. And again, for you to design activities, events, scenarios, etc. in the garden that will be most beneficial. At the core of it, you could just be a gardener and and run a community garden and invite people in and facilitate wellness that way, without even, putting in these special activities, without even really thinking about it consciously. Oh, my dogs are making an appearance. Again, the beauty that is horticulture therapy and wellness gardening in general is that this happens automatically. Just being in the garden, in the space of plants, is healing. So, because I'm an herbalist, I'm also going to share with you plants that are really powerful to incorporate possibly in your own life or for clients that you might be working with. Plants that are typically very safe and easy to start using for different ailments. We're going to talk about